And a very good Sunday morning to everybody out there. Good to have you with us as we settle in for another 12-race card here, finishing off another 4-day racing week at Gulfstream Park. Jason Blewett, Ron Nicoletti from our clubhouse studios with about an hour, give or take, before that first race. And a lot of racing, Ronnie, to go around today.
12 races this afternoon, and of course the Rainbow Six will start in race number 7, starting to build as over $50,000 now. So things are getting very interesting here, and we got turf racing. That's the most important thing. A lot of people love that turf racing.
Oh, yeah. Some big fields as well, scattered throughout to today's races, to say the least. And as we wrap up Saturday's action, and a good crowd, they were betting with both fists. A pretty nice effort out of Spanish Harlem yesterday in the feature.
Yeah, just really impressive. Sat that trip. They went fast early, just sat on the outside, and happened to hear trainer talking afterward, Armando de la Cerda, and that's the way he thought the race was going to play out. He thought there'd be a real strong pace, and he told the jock, just sit there and make your move, and that's exactly what happened. So MSC El Jaramillo did a good job.
Yes, indeed. And we'll see Misael riding quite a few horses today over the next few hours. Just one horse this Sunday afternoon for trainer Armando de la Cerda coming up in race number 3 this afternoon. And race number 3 plays part in the early pick 5, and it's got some super high 5 wagering. And in fact, we've got almost 5 G's in the carryover of the race $1 super high 5 at a pretty picture right behind our graphics here at Gulfstream Park. I do love that shot from the clubhouse turn on a blue sky Sunday afternoon, August the 19th. 50-cent early pick 5 coming your way. And with another 12-bagger, my friend, we've got 3 pick 4s. And Ronnie, a lot of dough up for grabs. We are really starting to pick up some big momentum in this Rainbow Six.
Yeah, as I mentioned, a little over $56,000. They bet over $100,000 into it yesterday. Did have one single going live in the last race, the number 8, but did not come to fruition. That horse didn't win. That's why we got the carryover. And Jason's going to have that late pick 5 ticket in just a few moments.
Yeah, got a little lucky as we kick off race number 8. That 50-cent late pick 5, very much devoted to the final third, if you will, of the program. Got a little lucky in yesterday's late pick 5. Didn't pay a life-changing score, but we'll take a profit of about $160, give or take.
What's wrong with that?
No, it keeps us in the game. Just want to churn, baby. Love that action here at Gulfstream Park. And we get action underway at about 12:45 or 12:50 to be a little more precise, with the first of a dozen on this Sunday afternoon. Fast and firm, by the way, as we settle in for a good-looking 2-year-old field, perhaps a Florida-bred maiden 2-year-old filly kicking off the opening leg of the early pick 5. I am very much about the first-time starters in this opening race, and the number 2 Perspire, who you would imagine as we get a lot closer to post will come down off the current 10-1, and the Kathleen O'Connell firster by He's Had Enough. With Edgar Zayas riding, I think Edgar aboard this filly by He's Had Enough is a real positive going in. How about the boys from Venezuela, Ronnie, in race number 2? You've got a couple in the race for trainer Victor Barboza Jr. and Gilberto Zerpa as well.
Yeah, they look like the logical 3 you have on your ticket. That's how I use King Moro on top, Hunza and Bluegrass Envy. They have all the bases covered in that one.
Absolutely. They have got that field surrounded. 3 deep for me there. Mondo de la Cerda, solid Friday with Croy winning the feature. An excellent effort out of Spanish Harlem in yesterday's featured barely even. He's the single with Angelino in race number 3, and I see Ronnie's got that one right on top.
Yeah, it looks like the logical one in there. Was really good back on June 29th, so we'll see if that one runs well.
Perhaps a 2-horse race. I see Ronnie disagrees with me a little bit on the Speedster Northern. He prefers the other RB Mirage horse, the 7 Musical Heart, but when it comes down to it, I'm too deep, Ronnie, in race 4, and if Silver Defense runs to his ability, mainly that effort 3 back, he's probably just going to run away and hide.
Yeah, and I just think he's a major piece of the pace puzzle in that race, and I just put him on top. Musical Heart along with Northern, you might want to use both of those on your ticket.
Maddie Salsa is one of 3 I've got in the back leg of this early 5, the 12 in fact. Saddled with obviously a tough outside post, but again, speaking about last out performances, this horse ran pretty well for trainer Marcus Vitale. If Maddie Salsa gets the right trip, going to be tough to beat?
Yeah, tough to beat. Now, stretching out tomorrow, that was a really game performance at going 7.5 furlongs. That was from post 10, so proved it could run on the outside last time out.
Let's hope that comes to fruition, and maybe a horse that does want to be outside and doesn't mind losing all that much ground there. Little Matty Salsa, again, one of a trio in that race number 5, but that's a long way down the turnpike here as we move on to this Florida-bred 2-year-old filly maiden special weight over the fast main track. In fact, speaking of the main, we've got an all-dirt early double this Sunday afternoon, and it's a nice little field in regards to you've got bookending horses in Mika's Girl on the Rail and your top pick, the number 7, Joe Sweetness, who have experience, are both second-time starters, and are coming out of the same race against Jessica. And then you've got a couple of firsters who you've got highly regarded in Perspire, the 2, and the 3, Classy Lynn, who figure to be pretty live.
Yeah, I mean, Perspire, we mentioned it all throughout the afternoon about the progeny of Brethren, how great they've been running for Stanley Gold. They just keep winning. So I did go with the number 7, Joe Sweetness on top, stretching out to 3/4 of a mile today after rallying from about 19 lengths off the pace last time out to finish third. It was a 5.5 furlong debut. Javier Gonzalez is the trainer. Lionel Reyes, named on this daughter of Anthony's Cross, won't be that far back, and I just like the Lionel Reyes in there. So I went with the previous experience, but the horses used on the ticket, I wouldn't leave them more. Perspire and Classy Lynn.
Yeah, both are well connected, to say the least. And I've got to give it to Arundel. I'm not sure about Perspire. I'd kind of like to know where the name came from, the catalyst or the genesis of naming this homebred by Brethren Perspire. But when you think they have a firster up at Saratoga today named Philly Joel, who's by Dialed In.
That's good.
That's a great one. Nacho Mama, Nacho Papa, Hill Valley for the Back to the Future fans. I got to hand it to Arundel. They got some pretty snazzy names, and I expect Perspire to come out motoring today.
They have so many sons and daughters of Brethren, they probably said, well, this one is no sweat. Let's just name him Perspire.
I hope that's the case, and I hope that's what Jeffrey Sanchez will be saying in the winner's circle. No sweat, boss, in race number 1. Here's the second on the afternoon. We stay on the main. We go a little longer here in Sunday's second. A 62.50 3-and-up claimer out of that 1-turn mile shoot. And very much a case of 2 in the race for Victor Barboza Jr. between the speedster, Bluegrass Envy, our top pick, the 2, King Morrow, and then you've got Gilberto Zerpa, who picked up yet another win yesterday by Daylight with Right On. One of these 3 is going to win.
Yeah, King Morrow, I want to show you a stat on Victor Barboza Jr. Horses going from turf to dirt, claimers right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 7 for 24. That's 29%. He's in the money 63% of the time and still has that positive return of investment. So King Morrow, my ticket. Hansa in second. Bluegrass Envy. Prentice Romero Mirage is going to ride there because Emiel's sticking with Hansa.
Yeah, he's on Hansa this afternoon for Gilberto Zerpers. Emiel had a big Saturday here. Again, a perfect ride on Spanish Harlem with a popular win at 6-5, and yesterday's barely even. Let's move on to the third here as we turf for the first time. Our opening grass race goes around 2 turns at the 1-mile distance. It's a $20,000 maiden claiming race for 3-and-up. And all things being equal, I know we do have a Ralph Nix trained son of gemologist in the 8 Saratoga Beast trying the turf for the first time, but the majority of this field has already raced on the grass, and with the 5 Angelino, I think anything close to that horse's last effort here on the eve of Summit of Speed Day, June 29th, is probably, unless Saratoga Beast freaks today on the turf, well, Angelino is probably just a little better.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. The horse that was a 5-wide third, that was so 25 maidens going a mile back on June 29th, going to drop just a little this afternoon. Saratoga Beast find interesting because dropping to the 20 level today, debuting on the turf, made that middle move. That was 40 claimers on the main track. So we'll see what happens with this horse going on the drop and going from dirt to turf.
And Ralph Nix quietly has really gotten in the zone. It does seem and feel the last couple of weeks here at Gulfstream, his horses have been running big. He actually picked up a win here yesterday early on Saturday's card with a good-looking maiden who got bet hard and crushed the field first time out. And we'll see what happens here in race number 3. 3. Let's move on to Sunday's 4th race. A nice little matchup between Aubrey Mirage, who again has had a breakout, consistently solid 2018, and the Peter Walder drop down, who make a claim today for $25,000 in the number 2 Silver Defense. Now, Northern is getting back on his preferred surface. Here's his race on June 23rd. He got bet off the board this afternoon. I know you liked him a lot, coming in and running first off a trader change to Boogie Mirage. And if you want speed, you're probably a fan of the number 3 Northern today. In hindsight, just out of his element, not making the lead, 5/8 on the turf, not really his game. I would note, though, that even though this track clearly was waterlogged and very, very wet, I think the good news for him, it wasn't sealed. So I do think there's a difference to be made, or certainly a distinction there. And obviously, he's going to get a harrowed, opened-up track today. We'll find out how Northern does, because he's going to have to be pretty good. Maybe a little inconsistent, but Silver Defense has run some big races.
Yeah, dropping to the 25 level after setting or stalking some really serious early fractions before weakening to finish 5th. That was back-to-back sprints at the $62,500 level. They were moving quick in those races. It's Peter Walder, MSC El Jaramillo named on the, I just think, as I mentioned earlier, just a major part of the pace puzzle this afternoon. And the reason I went with Musical Heart, for Aubrey Mirage, I found this stat on Musical Heart. Turf to dirt with a 61 to 180-day layoff. He's 4 for 8, 50%. He's in the money 75% of the time. And he's got an $8.67 return on investment.
Baby.
So there was a baller in there, that's for sure. And I just thought that was very interesting. You know, you wouldn't know what to expect with a horse going from turf to dirt off that kind of layoff. You punch it in, and it comes up. So I use that horse. But, you know, Northern, when I'm going deep, I'm putting Northern on the ticket.
All right, sounds good. I'm with you on the 2 Silver Defense, and nothing against anybody who's ridden him of late. When you're switching to Amiseo El Jaramillo, it's hard to get a better move up, though, because Amiseo is obviously one of the lead dogs here in this colony. And again, I think that just simply bolsters the chances of Silver Defense in for the quarter. As we move on to race number 5, picking up some steam of our own here on the show. Already time for the middle pick 4 on this August 19th, as we are back on the grass going that 2-turn mile in this 2-lifetime $10,000 claimer. And this underscores, when you look at a 12-horse field, just how wide open many of these turf races, Ronnie, at Gulfstream Park are. And mentioning a 12-horse field and that outside post comes into play, because the likely favorite, Matty Salsa, will need to be good and maybe a little lucky from way outside, but jockey Nick Juarez. Here's this horse's last start for trainer Marcus Vitale. You've got a quartet coming out of the same race back on July 22nd, and to me, Matty Salsa ran the best of all. A lot of good things happened, though, and Tyler Gaffalione, who's not riding here at Gulfstream today, was able to get this horse from an outside post, basically right into the 2 path. It does seem, though, Ronnie, turning for home, that Matty Salsa has got some horse, has got some run, and Tyler, quite simply, because of some traffic, really had to wait perhaps longer than he would have liked to push the button. And we say it all the time. I know he was able to save some ground. Horses prefer, for the most part, making the outside runs as opposed to just grinding and plodding away up the rail.
Yeah, that, you know, that he started that race from post 10 last time out with Matty Salsa, and this one, I think, just got, as you saw, got beat 3/4 of a length before, we'll say, the whole enchilada because of the salsa. But Matty Salsa proved to me last time that if you get the right trip, this horse can win. That was 7.5. I think it helps that this race is a mile today. I used Scottish Guy in second, Mark Cassie's horse with Sammy Camacho. I just thought with the, you know, was 4th as the favorite last time.
And Miss Violet obviously in the mix for both Ronnie and I, capping our respective tries despite the outside post. Not as wide, however, as Matty Salsa there from Mr. Marcus Vitale. Here's the 6th on the afternoon. This might be my favorite race on the card, or certainly undercard race, not including our featured 11th, which is a $75,000 restricted stakes, but more on that again in the 2nd segment of Gulfstream today. This is a good-looking 2-year-old field here as we bring on the 2-year-old fillies. First finish line will be in use at 4.5 furlongs, and I am most anxious to see between the 7 Eva's Gift and the number 1 Lovesick who comes out firing the best. Both these horses have good connections and sold for a good amount of money, and here, in fact, is the breeze that basically triggered that $80,000 purchase price of the number 1 Lovesick, who's out of a good dam. You'll hear more about that in just a couple of seconds. This is the OBS April quarter-mile breeze in 21-3. 3 for a filly by Adios Charlie, who may have some serious speed from the inside post with trainer David Fox. Now, this horse in this breeze back at OBS April was under a bit of a ride there, a bit of a energetic hand ride to really get her feet beneath her, but she worked a good-looking quarter mile again in 21-3. And I do think, looking at the pedigree, mainly the female side of the family, it comes into play here because this dam has been very prolific in the quality department. There's 2 full sisters to this daughter of Adios Charlie who are multiple winners, and you saw that 2 furlong breeze in 21-3. All 3 prior siblings are multiple winners, and I love that David Fox and even E5 Racing, who owns this daughter of Adios Charlie, have a half-sister that they've won a lot of races with in Florida Fuego, who's 3 for 7 in her career.
Yeah, and just to look at the recent work, 47 flat with Miguel Vasquez in the saddle this afternoon. That's why I put Lovesick on top of my ticket. But Ava's Gift is a full sister to a Grade 3 Schuylerville Stakes winner, Dream It Is, debuting for Eddie Please. I want to show you a stat. Now, you got to update this. I didn't do it yet because we didn't have time this morning because he ran one yesterday. It's now 11 for 62, 18%. Whatever the percentages is after that, with horses with 2-year-old first-time starters, maiden special weight on the dirt. I remember that he ran one yesterday, finished second, actually.
Still a good trainer,
Yeah.
and he's batting, give or take, just under 20%. And you would imagine this filly, who's the 3rd foal out of an unraced dam, and like you were saying, there's a stakes winner in the immediate family. And for me, I like that this horse, looking back, was an RNA as a yearling for $150,000, and then a few months later brought an extra $100K, sold for $250,000 after working 2 furlongs in 21 flat. Very much about the firsters in this upcoming race. And we've got the 8 Little Do in the race, who's a half to dialed in, who's obviously become a pretty nice stallion.
Yeah, and you got Science in there. Another name they came up with for a daughter of brethren today. And, of course, you always got to pay attention to Stanley Gold and Jeffrey Sanchez. Sounded a little bit like a broken record.
Yep,
now.
it is that Brethren cavalcade. We'll see, in fact, if we have any more at a Brethren running in the second half of this Sunday card here at Gulfstream Park. A lot more coming your way, including Ronnie's Rainbow, so stay with us.
Whether you're at home or at the track, have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
Coming down to the finish with Fort Martin to catch him. They're not going to catch him. Fort Martin, the winner. He went clear at the stop, and he's coming home, turning handspring. Morlani, brilliant in the statement master. What a thriller in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Fort Martin gets deep, nose and nose to the wire. Fort Martin has won it.
Couple of Fort Larnards have run here over the last couple of days without a win, but a sire perhaps we're keeping some tabs on, as we are definitely keeping tabs on what transpires here at Gulfstream Park over the next few hours. Welcome back to this live edition of Gulfstream Today with Jason and Ronnie, just in time for the Rainbow Pick 6.
Yeah, I got a $43.20 ticket today, and you'll see in the opening leg, boy, this was the head scratcher for me, so I went 4 deep, then 3 deep, and you see down there in race number 11, I'm going to single Diddley. Last time this horse was on the turf was second to our track record holder, Pay Any Price. Then comes back and runs a really good second on the main track. Race number 12, little bit of a long shot in there. The number 2 horse, Belinda, 6-1 on the morning line. Had a lot of trouble at the start. I just think maybe this one could upset a little bit, but I had to put the favorites on there too. But my day's right around Diddley.
Yep, you know Diddley, Ronnie, in race number 11, and it does look like that is the spot for him.
Yeah.
If he brings his A game for Oscar Gonzalez, that could be the race. It's supposed to be the race that he picks up a stakes win that's been elusive so far for him. He's been really good, consistently good for Oscar Gonzalez coming up in our featured 11th race, the Jupiter Beach, but a good-sized field of maidens in this opening leg of Sunday's Rainbow. These are 12-5 maiden claimers, in fact, going that 2-turn mile. mile. And I'm towards the outside and getting a little cute with the horse that I think in the number 9, King Ready, might just appreciate a switch to the turf. Do keep in mind, this gelding is by More Than Ready out of Medallia d'Oro Dam. Rained off the turf here, first time out, right around Memorial Day weekend. Getting Miguel Vasquez, that certainly piqued my interest, and he'll be a better price than the 7, He's a Leader, who I respect a lot, your top pick, but a horse who's already 0 for 9 on the turf.
Yeah, and then King Ready really bred nicely for
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the trouble. Why I went 4 deep. I might have to go back and make it 5 deep now. But He's a Leader, turning back to mile, encountered some traffic at the furlong mark. He lacked some room in that race to come within the head of Notch in that elusive maiden victory. Maybe with the clean trip. Shadosi on my ticket along. I see you have it too. And the 5 horse in here ran so well. It's a barn that doesn't win much, but this horse was in the same trouble as He's a Leader last time out. So I thought maybe off that race that this one might be able to spring a little bit of an upset in there. That's why I added it to the ticket.
All right, beneath Chilean board, Oscar Ulloa picked up a win yesterday in race number 2 on the turf. He's ridden that turf course here at Gulfstream quite well and quietly well. Oftentimes brings home some nice long shots. We'll see how he does, of course, riding for trainer Rosemary Homeister on the 5, Russian Wine. Here's the 8th race, already time for Sunday's late pick 5 as we head back to the main track. 1 mile seems to be a popular distance today on both the grass and the dirt, and that'll be the distance of this upcoming 8th race that sees me using a couple to start things out. Now, Ronnie's got Diddley singled. I'm 2 deep in the featured 11th race, the Jupiter Beach, but I do have a single coming up in race number 10 and teased it a little bit before the break. Indeed, there was one potential star player by Brethren left late in the afternoon, still coming up after that whole army of 2-year-olds in the first half of the card, and that is Weiser, who's really come back at the top of his game.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of wins in a row, and then he's run very well in his last 2 races. Looks like a logical contender in there.
Absolutely. I almost singled Diddley and used another 1 or 2 horses in the Weiser race, but I wanted to also include the venerable, almost ageless 9-year-old in Starship Wildcat, who's with Averill, with Georgina Baxter, and this is an outfit as a whole that just seems to do incredible work, not only with turf sprinters, but turf sprinters who are of an advanced age, and that horse has got some serious firepower.
Yeah, I mean, that's who I have in second, but I wanted to find that single, but I can understand using that horse in your ticket.
Yeah, so some good races towards the back end of this August 19th program, mainly Weiser, who's going to be favored today in the 10th, and that turf stake that goes as race number 11. It all begins, however, with me towards the outside with horses 7 and 8 in the 6250 Sunday 8th race, going that aforementioned 1-turn mile. The 7 Publicist, who's danced a lot of dances and has done some good things, and the number 8 Queen Roller, who's coming out of a good effort. In fact, she'll get a rematch here, a big rematch. You've got that cavalcade, more or less, coming out of the 2nd race. A very compact finish on the dirt here from August 5th.
Yeah, Queen Roller, really ran well in the first race after the claim by Elizabeth Doble. So we'll see how these horses, they were separated by a nose. I like the fact that you put Publicist. I had a little further down the ticket. Wasn't really enamored with that turf to dirt move, but if that horse runs its race, can certainly win in this
Absolutely. You're a fan of the 5 Flying Girl, who gets a little rematch here and perhaps has some revenge on her mind, beaten just a nose. Mile with her, no problem, and obviously her form's pretty good.
Yeah, and that was my thought process. Flying Girl maybe turns the table on Queen Roller today with Amazing Amelia in 3rd. So we'll see how that race plays out. We're basically in agreement, just box them around a little bit.
Yeah, Queen Roller's stretched to the mile in her last couple. Seems to have opened up some new doors for her. Normally, I'd be a little hesitant on her going that demanding 1 turn, but obviously it has not been an issue in back-to-back races. As we move on to the 9th race, another one of the highlights today on this Gulfstream Park program, as we go the 5/8s with some more 2-year-old fillies in the $65,000 maiden special weight. And there's some guesswork to be had with just about everybody, with exception of a Medallia d'Oro Tappet, Florida bred, in the number 2 Double Medal, who's arguably, because she's already got the turf race for good connections, arguably the horse to beat. However, I am not enamored with that race that she comes out of. It was slow, and I do wonder from front to back just how good that field was.
Yeah, when the buyer figure came out, it was like a 34, so it wasn't that fast. Of course,
Slow
the only
race.
horse in the race with previous turf experience. We did both go with the number 1 Charlotte de Brit, who's a half-sister to a turf stakes winner called Fast Flying Handicapping rumor. His debut in the grass. A couple of really well-meant sprints on the main track. I'm going to go with that horse. Joe Orsino's going to add blinkers for the surface switch today.
And I like that this dam is actually full. 3 previous turf winners. 6 have tried the grass altogether, but 3 of them have won. And thereby, this dam's previous turf winners, you've got a With Distinction, Circular Key, couple in the family by Montbrook and West Acre. To me, Treasure Beach seems to have the most kind of turf oomph compared to some of those other stallions that I view as more dirt horses. So that gives me some hope of 2 solid races on the main, that this daughter of Treasure Beach for the Generasios will run well for trainer Joe Orsino. You got another Brethren firster in the race in the number 7 Night Watch, a Will Take Charge firster going out for Carlo Vaccarezza. I'm anxious to see how they bet this race if we've got a live firster that we aren't planning on being super live at about 12:15 in the afternoon. All right, race number 10 as we go up in class, or certainly go up with established form. 9th race is pretty good, but there is a good amount of guessing to be had. Not the case with a seasoned group of 3 and up allowance horses in this optional claimer at a 1-turn mile. And we have seen, following a layoff from December to the middle of May, we've seen the nice progression here and evolution of the number 5 Wiser for Stanley Gold and Jeffrey Sanchez. And he won't win the race we're about to show you on July 29th, but he did everything right in a race that, in terms of the figure, came up fast. I like how this horse just fights. He is willing to get down and dirty, down in the trenches, and he's willing to fight for it. And you'll see a horse who landed in a good trip, launched that 3 to 4 wide sweeping bit off the turn, and he'll stay on very, very stubbornly in a race that, quite simply, Ronnie, makes him, in my book, way the horse to beat.
Yeah, and the start before this, he was second, and before that, he had reeled off 2 consecutive victories. So he's a real nice horse, and as you mentioned, very game. I use Red Crescent, who's going to stretch out today, finishing 3rd in 3 consecutive sprints. I'm not sold that this horse can handle the mile distance, so I put it in 2nd along with the inside horse, Piloting.
Yeah, Red Crescent is probably the main danger because it seems like he's run races just about as good as Wiser of late, but there's the kicker. He hasn't done it going this 1-turn mile distance. He has routed successfully in the past, and he's in good hands. Don't let the 1 for 18 or 19 at the meet fool you. This guy, John Vincent, old school New England horseman, comes from a good New England racing family, very good trainer and a good matchup. But again, I am very much firmly entrenched in the Wiser camp this afternoon in race number 10. As we move on to our featured 11th race, the $75,000 Jupiter Beach for 3 and up at 5/8 on the turf. This will be the final turf race of this August 19th weekend here at Gulfstream, and it's for horses that have not won a sweepstakes in 2018. We're going to show you a race with the very speedy, very likable. If you're a fan of the game, it's hard not to have a soft spot for horses of the ilk of Starship Wildcat, who's a 9-year-old by the late Wildcat Air and a horse that just hits so hard and has had so much success here at Gulfstream Park. I mean, how can you not root for a horse who's got that big cruising speed, can war it up, and can still find more, and a horse that is 8, 10, and 4 from 35 lifetime starts here at Gulfstream over the turf.
Yeah, and he ran exceptionally well that afternoon, and he's, he's going to try a little bit of tougher competition today, but you mentioned his barn does excellent work with sprinters, especially going 5 furlongs on the turf, so we'll see how that run runs. But as you mentioned before, my single in my Rainbow Six was the 5 Diddley. Going back to the turf after following that troubled 2nd place finish behind, that was behind Paney Price, our track record holder. That was in the $92,000 Bob Humphrey turf. Comes back and runs really good on the dirt. I like that current form. One to beat in my estimation.
I agree, because as you look around and you'll see the conditions of the race, it's for horses that have not won a sweepstakes, and that precludes, of course, Paney Price. I would imagine there'll be a sigh of relief or maybe a bit of a whinnying there from the 5 Diddley, who's been thrashed by Paney Price 3 times since last December on this turf course at Gulfstream. This is the right field, unless, of course, Starship Wildcat runs out of his mind. And to be fair, and Ralph Nix will run too. He's got the youngster, the 3-year-old on the outside in the 8-sided. But the number 2 High Hours has run some good races.
Yeah, he's making his first start. He rallied to finish finished third, actually, behind Peony, Price, and Diddley. That was in that Bob Humphrey I was just talking about. I want to show you a stat on Mr. Ralph Nix. Layoff of 31 to 60 days. Sprinters on the turf right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 23%. That's 23 for 101, so it's a big sampling. He's in the money over 50% of the time with over 100 starters, and he's got that $1.87 return of investment. This horse, you got to use him somewhere on your ticket.
Definitely, especially if for whatever reason Starship, Wildcat, and or Diddley don't bring their A game. I have no reason to believe they won't, but one of them has an off day or doesn't get lucky in the trip department. High hours, not out of that race by any means, and a big sample. Boy, 101 starters in that sample. Yeah, I like seeing stats like that. All right, here's race number 12, a rare day where we cap things on the main and not the turf. The finale goes on the dirt. It's a sprint, a 3-and-up filly and mare, $10,000 maiden claiming race, and I'm towards the outside, and I'm hoping it's just nothing more than a new face trainer change. My kind of horse in the 8, Bonnie Scott, who is now with not David Fox, but daughter Natalie Fox, who I think is going to have a big career.
Yeah, her first horse she ran exceptionally well to finish second in it, but I did go a little bit of a long shot in the last with Belinda, certainly eligible to show more. Had some trouble at the start, got bumped hard, finished second. I thought the 9 was the one to beat in there, trying to get a little cute with the number 2, Belinda.
Yeah, that's our lucky dice for trainer Georgina Baxter, who is leaving Peony, Price in the barn today, but the 9-year-old Starship Wildcat will try to pull off a very mild upset in the Jupiter Beach as we switch to not an upset, but one of our favorites in Pete Aiello is coming up next with those Sunday scratches and changes here at Gulfstream.